We present iSSVis to support comprehensible analysis of diverse stroke subsequences. System overview. The matrix view provides an overview of diverse stroke subsequences. The matrices in the upper and lower parts present stroke subsequences specified by pairwise stroke attributes of each player. For example, this entry presents a subsequence of strokes whose technique and placement are loop and long backhand, respectively. The area of the circle encodes the number of the strokes. The luminance encodes the scoring rate or the varying rate. Similarly, each entry in the matrix indicates a stroke subsequence with the specified values of the technique and the placement. All matrices work in the similar way. We can group attribute values. We can click on each label to specify an attribute value and filter. The selected label is recorded on the panel. We allow the link and switch operation to connect and separate strokes of two players. When the link button is disabled, matrices of each side are separate. When it is enabled, matrices in one side can be filtered by interactions in the other side. The arrow button further determines the direction. When the arrow is upward, strokes of player 2 are next to the strokes of player 1. When it is downward, the case is reversed. The flow view uses the stroke flows to help detect the main varying features of stroke subsequences. The x-axis of the stroke flow encodes the horizontal distribution of stroke placement values. We employ two opposite fans to represent strokes of two players. The number of sectors encodes the vertical distribution of stroke placement values. 4 directions within each fan encode the stroke position values. Distinct colors encode various stroke technique values. These designs allow comprehensible analysis of the variation of 3 stroke attributes. Overviews of different detail levels are provided. The overviews are coordinated with the stroke flows. Each bar chart in the bar chart flow presents the differences of the 3 winning rates of the hit player caused by the current stroke. We can browse stroke flows of 1 player or 2 players. We can switch among 3 tactic modes. We can switch the viewpoint. The detailed view allows context unfolding. In the detailed decision-making view, 3 rectangles linked by the line represent 3 stroke attribute values of the current stroke. Their luminance encodes the differences of the winning rates caused by the 3 attribute values. Luminance of other rectangles encodes the difference of the winning rates for other attribute values. In the rally view, the position and color of the ball on the table represent the stroke placement and the stroke technique, and the figure encodes the stroke position. Case study 1. We select the strokes of real next to the serve strokes of 1 and browse the matrix representing real strokes specified by position and technique. We detect that real used forehand mostly. We click on the label 4 and find that real returned the serve stroke with the technique drop shot mostly. Real was prone to employing control techniques such as drop shot instead of the offensive technique flick. We further select strokes with drop shot. Strokes with forehand show dominant advantages for its big power. In the prior flow, one mostly struck the ball to the middle hand area. It provided good chances for real to employ forehand. However, most of the strokes of real were half-long strokes. This indicated that real did not control the ball within the short area. In the next flow, we find that one used offensive technique like loop and flick most to respond. The placements of these offensive strokes by one varied frequently. In contrast, the techniques employed did not vary so frequently. We find that Wang won most rallies after these strokes. This variation was interesting and effective, thus being worth further studying. Case Study 2. We examine the matrix presenting stroke subsequences specified by technique and position for Wang. We find some outstanding entries in the rows of loop and flick. Most varying strokes and scoring strokes of Wang were hand-struck with loop and flick. We click on the flick label and find Wang employed flick with anti-sideways most. We further select strokes with anti-sideways. We can see a distinct trend of the placements from the backhand area to the forehand area. Wang struck the ball to the backhand area at first and got bad results. In the middle of the match, Wang struck the ball more to the forehand and the middle hand area and won more rallies. Finally, Wang kept striking to forehand area and got positive results. We further find the bars in the position columns are all above the zero line. These bars represent the differences of winning rates of Wang caused by the current strokes. Wang's anti-sideways had good effects on the winning rates. We pick out a stroke and examine the tactic of Wang in the rally view. During this rally, Wang returned the serve stroke with the anti-sideways at the second stroke, and then quickly moved to backhand area and struck the ball with sideways. Baum failed to return the ball at the last stroke and lost. We further find that a rectangle is relatively lighter. We hover on the rectangle and the darkest rectangle and find they are the block and the loop, respectively. The loop might be a better choice than block at the last stroke. Case Study 3. We compare the serve strokes of two players in this match. We focus on the matrices presenting stroke subsequences specified by the placement and position. We click the serve labels in both sides and compare the difference. Wang mostly struck with short middle hand. In contrast, the serve strokes of Rio were evenly distributed over different stroke placements. We find in the overview that the stroke placements of serve strokes for Wang only change at the beginning and end of the match. The serve strokes of Rio, however, varied frequently between backhand and middle hand. Two players had distinct features in the stroke placements. We further find that most of the serve strokes of Wang were short strokes and those of Rio were usually half-long strokes. Wang was better in controlling the length of serve strokes than Rio. We switch the tactic modes. We detect that Rio had to employ control techniques like drop shot at the second stroke due to Wang's short serve strokes. Then, Wang grasped the chance to attack first with a loop at the third stroke. In contrast, Wang directly attacked with loop at the second stroke. According to the score information, Wang won more rallies.